that I agree. So you can use a language to empower someone else, but you can also use a language to empower yourself. Why not? If you are really
That's true.
passionate about it, and obviously depending on the degree of difficulty that of the language that you want to learn, of course it can be a challenge for yourself too. It can.
Raluca, welcome to the Crash Cinema podcast. Thank you for agreeing to be a guest on my show. How are you?
Hello, Kez. Thank you. Thanks very much for the invitation. I'm very glad to join you for this episode of the Crushed Cinnamon podcast. I'm very well, thank you.
Oh, thank you. How is where you are? Is it sunny here? Here in Liverpool, it's sunny but a bit cold.
Yeah, well, it's actually quite cloudy. It's been quite rainy these days, and well, it's more or less cold. A bit too cold for my taste, to be honest.
Sorry. Okay, so Raluca, as you know, I spoke to you about being on this series about the everyday woman and then some. And the reason why I decided to have this episode, or rather this series, is because women sometimes we forget to celebrate ourselves. We forget to celebrate the things we are. Sometimes we just identify as one thing. For example, if for me, I just identify as a mother and forget all the other things I am, and the additional great things actually make us very interesting human beings. So that is why I am creating this series. And that's why I invited you on.
Thank you. Thanks a lot once again. I'm actually very excited to be part of this.
Yes. So you are second guest on the show, and it's been a learning process also for me, technically and otherwise. However, what I want us to talk about today is really your love for the Arab language and Arab culture, and basically probably can start by introducing yourself and just saying how you found yourself learning Arab, which is miles away from your native language and your native place of birth.
Yes, sure. So my name is Raluca. I'm 32 years old. Well, I'm originally from Romania. I was born and raised in a city, which is quite a big city. It's called Craiova. It's about 300 kilometers away from the capital city of Romania, Bucharest. I was brought up by both my parents and my grandparents. So basically, I spent most of my first 7 years of life together with my mother's parents.
That's nice.
Who they lived in the same city as my parents did, so they were basically just providing some support for them, knowing that they were quite busy with their jobs.
That is amazing.
Yes, so I do have really fond memories actually of my childhood with my grandparents. I remember that, I think I'm really blessed to have been able to benefit from the wisdom of the elderly in those years, and at the same time to be so spoiled, obviously. And I remember that my grandpa was teaching me a lot of things, and then he was giving me maths tests and geography tests, and for example, he would name various countries of the world for me to name and I was supposed to name the capital for each one of those countries.
Wow.
That was the geography test, for example. So let's say that already at that age I started, I don't know, I could feel a bit of love, for traveling and, knowing more about other countries and
yes,
things like that. So, that's a bit about me, my childhood, let's say, and as for the Arabic language, I've always been very, very fond of foreign languages.
Mm-hmm.
So, to the point that sometimes I cannot even imagine myself doing something different. So, I studied, of course, I studied English and French throughout school and high school.
Yes.
But then, when as I was approaching graduation from high school, it became clearer and clearer to me that I really wanted to study that, to specialize in foreign languages, and to pursue a career in this field.
Yes.
So initially, I was honestly I was thinking about studying English and Spanish. Because normally we are supposed to choose a language combination. So you normally choose a major language, an A language, and the minor, which is the B language. So it's usually you study two languages simultaneously at the University of Bucharest, where I did my BA at. Basically, that was the initial plan, to study English and Spanish. Then I kind of realized that that would not provide me with too many job opportunities after graduation, knowing that those two languages are quite common, let's say, in Romania, and there are lots of people who can speak this language. So then it occurred to me that it might be better to study a more exotic language, let's say. So obviously I had quite a wide range of options, because the University of Bucharest offers quite a few language combinations. So I could have chosen, for example, Chinese or Japanese or Turkish or different other languages. But I was really, I chose Arabic, to be honest, because I've always been really fascinated by the Arab culture, their civilization. I remember that even when I was, basically, I did not know a thing about it. I mean, I could hear it and I was fascinated, by the sound of it. I was fascinated by the writing. I remember when I was a child, we used to have sweets and some chewing gum, I think, which were imported from the Arab countries. So I could see the writing on them, and it looked very weird, very unusual to me at that time. So I would ask my family, "What's that?" And because to me, honestly, it looked like some, the signs on a monitor, a vital sign monitor in a hospital.
Oh yeah, true. Yeah, I never thought of that. That's true. It does look a bit like that. Yeah, true.
Yeah, so I was, even at that early age, I was fascinated by the writing. So I would just ask my family, "What's that?" And they would say, "Oh, that's just it's Arabic." So yeah. So that's how I chose to. It was, I think, it was my passion for the Arab culture and civilization that I didn't know that much about, to be honest, at that time. That really led me to decide to study Arabic.
Oh wow, that's amazing. I mean, just touching from your childhood, it's actually, yes, it is a blessing to have your grandparents. I miss my grandparents very much, actually. Moving to England, I didn't know what gap it will leave, actually, not having my grandparents in my life. And actually, it's now that I'm a parent, I appreciate that your parents had help when your little children are a handful. Even if you just have one, it's always good when you have that support. And I'm actually fascinated about your grandfather and giving you all this geography test. And look, many years later, you're here traveling the world, and your fascination with languages. Did you ever think at that age, or maybe there's something inside me that will propel me to where I am, or it just naturally you found your way there? I know you said the job field, in terms of when you were looking and strategizing what should you do, to do in terms of language for work. But at the back of your mind, did you ever think, okay, maybe what I used to do with my grandfather, answering this geography test, is what led me here?
To be very honest with you, not so much, because perhaps I should mention now that at that time, basically when I was um, thinking about what I want to do next after graduating from high school, I was not at that time, and even later on during the first years of university, I was not even considering leaving the country, at that
Oh,
time.
wow.
So yes, it's amazing how things happened. Basically, this change of heart, let's say, took place after I graduate. Yeah, after I graduated from my BA at the University of Bucharest, or from my master's degree actually there. So it was just later on that I realized that that's what I wanted to do, and I wanted to have a career abroad actually, and
Yes,
to see
yes.
other countries, to have the experience of living in other places. But yes, at that time, no, I was not thinking at all about it, and that's why I was actually that's why the strategy, of
Mm-hmm.
trying to find job opportunities, trying to study a language combination that would ensure more job opportunities to me after graduation in my country, like I said, because that's what I was thinking at that time.
Okay. That's amazing. It's made me think so much about the current situation most of us, and even those in school, those sitting their A levels right now, or exams in their countries to go to college or university. I wonder what kind of career advice they're getting, or what kind of things they're thinking, because honestly, I think the way the world is changing, you have to be really strategic, like you are, in what you're going to do in terms of
Indeed.
getting the jobs, and because it's very competitive. Almost everybody is
True.
doing exactly what you want to do. So I think you have a few tips for people here in how to think outside the box, and actually using a very common tool we use, which is communication, because language comes with communication, to
True.
strategize and say, this is what I will use to earn a living. And that's very fascinating for me, because in human relationships, actually, I did an episode about social class and language, and it really blew my mind when I was doing the research, and I realized language can actually change your whole trajectory of life. From you could actually start from the lower scale, like a lower income scale in terms of social class, but because of learning a language, perfecting the language that you were born in, for example the English, it can change your life in terms of, because you become better at reading, better at maths, better at everything, and it opens other doors. And I've never looked now long, and that's why I actually invited you for this podcast, because I realized I think sometimes we overlook simple things like language skills that actually can change something that it looked very ordinary, and then all of a sudden it isn't. That's amazing, actually. So I wanted to ask you, when you made your decision to move, and you made the decision to learn the Arab language, how did it all feel? Was it challenging? Was it exciting? Obviously, I can imagine there's excitement in it, but what challenges?
Yes. So basically, when I first decided, actually, like I said, so that's what initially led me to start learning Arabic, and then I had already studied Arabic. I think that are we talking about, for example, my decision to move to the Middle East, or
when you decided to move outside of Romania, wherever you went first,
okay.
what made you? Because you said that when you were doing your masters, even then you didn't think, oh, I'm going to move out here.
Yes. Well, it was actually. Well, I graduated from my master's degree in Romania, and I was thinking that I would really like to do something else, to do something different. I don't know, to do something special. I don't know. That's what I was thinking at that time. So I felt that at that time in my country, I wouldn't, I did not really have the opportunities I would have liked to
Mm-hmm.
have. Yes, I decided to go to the UK to study interpreting. Actually, I studied translation and
Mm-hmm.
interpreting. I thought that I would really enjoy working as an interpreter. So I was thinking about that, of course, as a
Yeah.
career the time at the time. So yes, basically I just applied to the University of Manchester. So that's when I moved to Manchester, to the UK, and well, I stayed there for a couple of years more,
Mm-hmm.
a bit more maybe.
That's amazing.
So that's how it happened. And yeah, I was thinking, I don't know, I felt I had reached a point in my life where I needed some change. I needed to make an important decision, either doing something I don't know, something maybe more common, just settling there. But then I just decided that I really wanted to move a bit, to go out of the country, to see the
Mm-hmm.
world. I also felt that would be important for me. It would help me develop, my self-confidence. Why not? It would help me become more
Okay.
independent.
That's great. Actually, and it's good you made that decision to come to England, because that's how we met and became friends.
Indeed.
So some decisions you made are really good. Keep making such decisions. But yeah, and because we worked in the same place, and we were both interpreters, and for me, actually, I can say on my part, it wasn't a conscious decision actually to become an interpreter. And like you, it just landed on me because the company that we both worked for really were desperate for people who spoke Swahili. And that's exactly how I got the job. I never even applied. I remember they just really rang me continuously, and I was like, okay, let me try this. And the little training they gave us, and that was it. And I
And I'm sure
started.
you enjoyed it
Yeah,
finally.
it was very in fact, actually, it made me really value languages, and I think that's why it's a recurring theme in my life, and actually in everything I speak about. Because I will say this: there's a certain gentleman I met here in Liverpool, and I had to translate for him. And I remember it was a medical appointment, and the doctor literally was with his his notebook, and he was saying, okay, I want to pre-book you for the next 3 months. And I was like, why? He said, this gentleman has had to wait for a year to find an interpreter, because we've been trying different places and it didn't work. They were not understanding each other. So I couldn't carry out the procedure he needed, because he needed to understand what I am going to do and what is going to happen. And actually the self-care after was very, very important. So the doctor needed him to understand what to do once the operation had taken place. And I remember going home and thinking, what if I had a life-threatening situation like this gentleman, and waiting for a whole year because I can't speak the language of the
Amazing.
physician, or a situation like that. It really, it made me value so much, because sometimes, because we speak this language, we don't value it. We don't say, oh, you don't understand how important it is until your life depends on it. So yeah, I came to really actually enjoy my job and value that I can actually speak this language, and the connection you get with the various clients you get every time you get booked. It was really fascinating. So I remember I only stopped because I had to go do my master's in Bournemouth, and I remember this doctor was like, okay, we are moving the procedure a month before you have to leave, so that we can make sure
Oh.
everything is done. And it was very shocking. And I've been in places where I don't think I would have ever gone had I not spoken the language Swahili. It really did make me also travel a lot in England. I went far and wide to just interpret for people, and sometimes I would even get translation jobs. It was quite fascinating. And speaking of Arab, Swahili has Arab in it, because it's Arab is its mother, and Bantu languages is father, we always say. So yeah, it's one of those things whereby I actually am fascinated by the Arab language. And also in Kenya, where I grew up, there's lots of Arab influence. There are a lot of Arabs who live there. There's a lot of second and third and fourth generation Arab families, because of the trading routes that happened way before colonization. So it's quite interesting to see the history intertwine, and how this one language can create history in that sense. Okay, yeah. So I think that what I want to ask you is, so when you first learned Arab, because I know it has different dialects, did you decide this is the dialect I want to learn, or do you just take how did you come upon how to decide? I don't know if I'm framing it in the right way, but basically, did you know that there are different dialects in Arab when you decided to learn the language? Yeah, I think that's the question I want to ask. Yeah.
Okay, no, not at all. Like I said, basically I started learning Arabic from scratch during the first year at university in Romania, which was quite a long time ago, in 2007.
Yeah.
2007, yeah.
Yeah, it's a long time.
So, no, I didn't have any idea about the various varieties, of Arabic, if we can say. And by the way, I mean, maybe I should take this opportunity to say, for all those who are not familiar with the Arabic language. So basically, in Arabic, there are several very different varieties of the language. So we have the language which is used in the holy book of Islam, which is the Quran, and then you have that would be more or less what we call the classical Arabics, or the Fusha. Then we will have a different kind of Arabic, which is used in diplomacy, or used at by politicians, let's say, for meetings between different Arab countries. It is also the language which is used in newspapers. So it's mainly a written language, but it can also be used in diplomacy as a spoken language, like I said, for in meetings, let's say.
Okay.
And then also we have so basically that is mainly a written language, and this is actually, it's what we call modern standard Arabic, and this is the variety of Arabic which I studied several years at university, both in Romania and in the UK at Manchester. So this is what I studied. So basically, I studied Arabic for several years in an academic environment, but without actually studying the dialect. So which is actually the spoken language. So basically, the dialect is the language which is spoken by, which is used by people in their daily interactions. And basically, it's the language that you should use if you want to to communicate with native speakers of Arabic. Of course, you can use the other kind of Arabic, the modern standard Arabic also, but like I said, that's mainly a written language, and it will always feel very weird to native speakers of Arabic to be approached in that language, on a daily basis, in daily interactions, like I said.
Yeah.
So,
That's fine. Carry on.
Yes, so basically that's what I wanted to say. I did not have any idea about it. Then I remember that first year at university, we were explained. Our professor, one of our professors, explained to us what about the different types of Arabic, and also how different the dialects can be from each other. So basically, the greater the geographical distance between the between the Arab countries is, the greater the differences are between their dialects.
Mm-hmm.
So
Okay. So
yeah. So basically, you can have very different dialects in the, for example, in the countries in Arab countries in Northern Africa, like Algeria,
okay.
Tunisia, Morocco. Arabic can be very different from other countries, like in the Middle East, like Jordan, Syria, Lebanon. That will be a totally different dialect.
That's great. I've actually come to learn that because of my job right now, especially because I deal with people who are from all over the world. And whenever I need to, book in interpreters, it's one of the things they're always insisting. They're like Arabic, Sudan, Arabic, Kuwaitis, Arabic.
Okay.
They're always emphasizing, I need someone who speaks Arabic from Sudan. I need someone who speaks Arabic from. So I came to understand that it's very different. Yeah.
Well, I was not aware of that actually, because at the time when I was working as an interpreter in the UK, basically the language required for the assignment was Arabic in general. So,
yeah, now things have changed. In fact, the most very good interpreting companies or translating companies can hire. You can actually get Arabic from Sudan. Others want Arabic, from the Middle East, and also people, especially if I've noticed people from Saudi Arabia and Kuwait are very, very particular, very, very particular.
Yes,
about,
but you are right. That's a different variety of Arabic. It's the
yeah,
Gulf
exactly.
Arabic.
So I came to understand that painfully through work, because sometimes you get just a standard Arabic speaker, and for me, who doesn't know this, and thank you for that education, and I know many people benefit from what you've actually just shared. I just used to book. I mean, the person speaks Arabic. What else do I need? I didn't know that, and it used to make some of my appointments very difficult, because somebody would not cooperate, or they were not understanding to each other. So yeah, it's quite an eye-opener in many ways, actually. And sometimes also I like listen when I'm listening to the interpreter speaking, like, oh, so that's what means this. I can use it for next time I'm speaking with the services, the clients, or even the companies that I work with. So it's quite fascinating. So I guess the question here is, now that we're moving to jobs and work opportunities. So did Arab finally help you get those job opportunities you thought you strategically thought of, all those years ago, to maybe think of moving into?
Yes, definitely. I mean, I feel like I'm very blessed to be able to do what I love, and for me, I think Arabic is more than a career. I mean, it's also my passion. So
yeah.
I'm very happy to be able to use Arabic on an almost daily basis, and I'm also very happy to be able to make a difference in people's lives by using my language skills. I mean, I feel like it's amazing to have to be able to have this the combination of the two, using my language skills, or also helping people communicate, because I feel unfortunately, communication, maybe like you already mentioned, communication and human interaction are just two things, and are actually essential parts of our lives that we often take for granted. And I
Mm-hmm.
think that in these difficult times, especially, in these times of a pandemic, when a lot of people or a lot of us have to self-isolate, um, to observe curfews and other restrictive measures. I feel like it is only now that we actually realize how much communication and human interaction matter for
Yeah,
our
that's
lives,
very true.
for our well-being, our mental well-being and our physical well-being as well, obviously.
Yeah.
So I'm happy to be able to use Arabic and this way to help people communicate, and we are talking about people who cannot, in many situations, they cannot speak another a language,
Mm-hmm.
other than their native language. So basically, communicating in Arabic with them means enabling them to make themselves heard and to express their concerns, and it's very important. I'm
Yeah,
very,
yeah.
very glad to be able to do that.
Yeah, and actually, that's the one thing I really like about you and I admire about you. And I remember all those times we used to have discussions like in the coffee shop, and you are really passionate about Arab. And I remember that I used to think I wish people, those of the native speaking Arabs or from that culture, knew how someone like you really advocates for their for their way of life or culture in that sense, and their beautiful way of communicating. Because I think sometimes also society has plastered us in a different way, where you have preconceptions about a certain thing,
Exactly. Yes, you're right.
and then you end up not enjoying something that you'd have really enjoyed. For example, if they'll stereotype you and say, what would be a woman from Romania doing learning Arabic? It's one of those things. I'm learning day by day now that we have to normalize the idea of learning languages that, per se, in quotes, are not what we should be doing. For example, like if I went and learned Chinese, they'll be like, what would be a black person be doing learning Chinese?
Well,
So society is trying to put us in boxes,
it's
and
true.
you know
It's definitely true.
it's terrible. And like you said, you're helping people who would not have a voice in another language, or even actually a voice. Sometimes I've realized by using a language, you're actually empowering someone to be their very authentic self, to move from a situation probably that would have left them worse off had they not spoken about what they needed, get the support they needed, get the help they needed. So it's amazing what you do and how you ended up there. And I think also to encourage other women, actually, I'm not just focusing on women, but since this series is about women, yeah, but it will encourage other women to think outside the box, and use what they already have. For example, for those who already speak Arabic or another language, could be any, to use it for good,
Yeah,
or to
indeed.
use it to empower somebody else. And I think that's the main theme I'm getting from here, that you can use language to empower someone. You can use language to ensure somebody has a better way of life than they never had before. And for you, the person, you enjoy and you actually get satisfaction from it, and it makes you also very appreciative, I guess. Yeah.
Yes, it's true. It's indeed it's very very rewarding, and yes, I would say that I agree. So you can use a language to empower someone else, but you can also use a language to empower yourself. Why not? If you are really
That's true.
passionate about it, and obviously depending on the degree of difficulty that of the language that you want to learn, of course it can be a challenge for yourself too. It can make you get out of your comfort zone. So I feel like that's very important, and then it can be very useful from many points of view. It can be very useful for it can be a valuable asset for a job, for different
Yeah.
jobs. Actually, it can be useful, for example, if you're passionate about traveling and you travel all over the world. You might find yourself at some point in a place where the people cannot speak a widely spoken language like English, for example. So you might
Yeah.
then a foreign language, knowing another language can come in very handy actually in this
Okay.
situation. So, can be very useful.
Excellent.
And also, last but not least, because we are talking about how important or how useful it can be to study a foreign language. I think that the language is also it can also provide it can be interesting. It can be really fascinating because it's also the key that opens the gate to a new culture, a new civilization,
Exactly.
different world.
Exactly. Exactly. It's very, very, very true. And actually touching on what you said, opening a new culture for you, a new, understanding, and saying what you said about the pandemic. It's true because now everybody has to do Zoom calls, or everything is online. We are doing a lot of video calling. We're doing a lot of, online things, which were not what we were accustomed to. So I've seen a lot of people learning new languages in this period of the lockdown and the pandemic, because it is required of them because of their job, or just the situation that has put them in that situation. So yeah, it's actually really, there's just not one way of looking at languages. There's so many ways of seeing it as a tool, as a means to just see the world. Actually, it's a
It's true.
boat in many ways to take you where you're going. So it's been really nice to talk to you and get a deeper understanding of what your passion is, which has been great. And yeah, so I'm going to encourage our listeners, if you are interested at all, at the very least, to learn any language, please do. The world doesn't stop at where you know it. There's so much to know. There's so much to explore using languages and cultures. And yeah, I think it also makes us, like you said, Raluca, better human beings, because you have exposure, and you don't just see the world from your glasses. You get to see it in a wider scale. So yeah, thank you for being on our podcast today. I look forward to have other conversations with you. Have a good day. Thank you very much. Do you have
Thanks
any
a
parting
lot.
thoughts?
Maybe just to add on what you've already said, I would just like to encourage all women listening to us to really pursue their passions. Well, be it a foreign language or any other passion they might have. Knowing that this is really something that can empower you, and also it's something that it's very important to do what you love. So please just choose a career, pursue. Don't never give up on your dreams and your passions, and pursue a career that you love, because as we know, we spend a great portion of our lives at work. So life is too short to
Yeah.
to spend it doing something that we don't really like. So whenever you pursue something with passion, I do believe that you will definitely be successful. So in your endeavor. So I think that's
That is true.
what I wanted to tell our ladies listeners. So then I would also like to thank you once again for the invitation, and it's really been a pleasure being with you today. And of course, if there are any comments, any questions about studying Arabic or studying foreign language in general, or maybe even about living in an Arab country, don't hesitate to send them to Kez, and we will make sure that we provide you with an answer. So thanks a lot.
Excellent.
Take care.
Thank you. You've done far and above. Thank you. I like guests like you. The other ones I like. That's really good. That was amazing. I can't even add anything. So everyone, tune in to the next episode of Crash Cinnamon. Thank you very much, Raluca. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.